Morning, vinyl community. It's Steve again. Here with another video of my latest finds. Um, these were records I brought from my local record market store in my hometown, Sutton Coldfield. Um, Mainly, I go, as I said before, I tend to go through the bargain bins, but I picked up a couple of nice records and a couple of surprising records. So, without further ado, I'm very pleased to pick up a copy of Black Sabbath's Paranoid, and this is on Vertigo label, and it cost me £5. And Pete, the owner, did put on the label that it sounded crackly, but I asked him when it plays okay. He said it plays okay. It does sound crackly, but for £5 to have a Black Sabbath record on the original Vertigo label, I can't moan. It's a great album, Paranoid. We're coming up to the end of Sabbath. From Aston, which is not too far from where I live. It's only about 8 miles away. I think only heavy metal could only have come from Birmingham. As the band have described themselves, it is at the time of the late 60s, early 70s. It was basically a dump, poor housing. It was tough. People had it tough in those times. People worked, 6 days a week, 5.5 days a week. Go watch the football on a Saturday afternoon, and music offered them the chance to escape. Yes, we all know about the drugs and everything else, but it's a product. That album's a product of the environment that they grew up in. Next album, Eric Clapton's 461 Ocean Boulevard. This is really, I think, his comeback album after Derek and the Dominoes. He did release his Eric Clapton solo album, but he sort of got lost within a drug addiction and sort of disappeared. And as he slowly started to move in, get back better again, he went to America, found some like-minded musicians, and recorded this album. And the reason it was such a breakthrough for him, it includes his version of "I Shot the Sheriff," which was the #1 single for him in the US. So it was start him returning back to form in the 70s. A quite prolific period for him. Eagles, One of These Nights. Yep. This was the last album to feature Bernie Leadon. You could tell it started to move into a more rockier field. In America, it's quite a big hit for him. It contains the title track, Lion Eyes, Take It to the Limit, which is one of my favourite Eagles songs. In the UK, I think the Eagles get a bit of a bad rap because I think it seems as very safe, adult orientated rock. But they did make some great tunes, and and it's worth checking out. I think the documentary I made a few years ago was very interesting. Sadly Glenn Fry's passed on. But we're left with great music. I think that's all you can say. As in tribute, the music's great. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. I do have a soft spot for prog. I do like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I was introduced to them by a guy I worked with at the time. It's about 30 years ago. And he did a tape for me, and I was quite impressed. So he did take me in the back catalogue, apart from Love Beach, which I think even the most ardent Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan finds difficult to like. The Triple Live album contains Hoedown. The speed of Keith Emerson's keyboard playing on that compared to the studio version is just amazing. It really is. It's a great live album. I mean, it's not as good live album as Pictures at an Exhibition. You know, it's just a classic live album. But I think if you want to get a catalogue of Emerson, Lake and Palmer at the Pump, this is a good album to have. In the pound bin, I just, even though the cover's a bit battered, Hawkwind, and I'm gonna have to read this. Dormi Faso Latido. It came out in 1972. They were just at that time about to, break through with Silver Machine, the hit single. Not on it. It's space rock at its best. Hawkwind have a really ardent following in the UK. They're always doing the festivals. You know, they're still gigging now. Dave Brock is still going. He's in his 70s now. He's still going on, playing, making albums. The following's loyal. It is a great album. I think there's nothing, more to say. Yeah, it's a bit crackly, but again, as I said, for a pound, you can't grumble with that. Another one of my Elton John finds, Honky Chateau. This has got this album that's got Honky Cat and Rocket Man on it. Again, you can't go wrong with this period of Elton. He's starting to get into his groove now. I can't remember if this is his fourth or fifth album. But the band, it's getting there. It's tight. It's a really good album. The songs coming together. Love Rocket Man. Rocket Man is a great song. But some other great songs. I particularly liked Salvation. I think I'm going to kill myself. Great album from Elton. An album that's 40 years old this year. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Rastaman Vibration. It's around this period where Jamaica was in bits of political uproar. Marley himself survived an assassination attempt. And I think this album sort of reflects what's going on in Jamaica at the time. Tracks like Johnny Was, War, Rat Race. I think this, I'm not quite, if I'm mistaken, I think it's the album that started to break through in America for Marley. I think his influence cannot be underestimated. I've said this before in previous videos. I think what he's done, world music, and I think it's just great. It's just, I don't think we'd have reggae for what it is. Reggae would just be a novelty if it wasn't for Marley. Rush, A Farewell to Kings. It's Rush, probably my favourite band of all. I've seen them quite a few times. I like the fact that they do what they want to do. They go on their own merry way. It's the fact that they never stand still, and they'll do what they want to do, not what the fans want to hear. You can go and they won't play 20. Let's go and see them live and they won't play 21-12. They won't play Xanadu like. That's why I think I like them. That's why a lot of people like them. This was recorded at Rockfield in Wales, just after their first British tour. They come over. Previously, their albums had only been on import, but they'd sold enough, warrant them to come over and play. They went Rockfield Studios in Wales. It's a famous studio. Queen's Night at the Opera was recorded there. On the album, we've got Farewell to King, Xanadu, Close to Heart, Cinderella Man, Madrigal's Sinner's X1. You saw the introduction of keyboards. Now, it could be seen as quite controversial to some Rush fans because you all know in the 80s the keyboard sort of took over a little bit over the guitar. But there's enough on this album for to keep it interesting. And I do enjoy this album a lot. Not my favourite Rush album, but it's an album I do enjoy. Milson Schmilson. This is a reprint because I don't think they're written from 1980. The original wouldn't have had including Without You. Yes, this is the main track on the album. This is his big album, Nilsson's big album. Yes, it contains Without You, track 1 and side 2, Get Coconut and Let the Good Times Roll. A bit of an enigma, Nilsson, in my eyes. Again, an artist that went on his own muse, so to speak. And I think that's what probably makes him interesting to listen to. When he did Son of Schmilson, I think people expected more of the same, but that was totally different. This is a good album. I think it's probably held up more because it has Without You, and it's obviously his biggest album. Nilsson's an interesting artist to get to listen to. Some good stuff he made. Simple Minds, Sparkle in the Rain. From 1983, I believe. Big song on here is Waterfront, and this is probably at the time they started to really beef up their sound. Really, we're starting where the popularity started to increase, particularly in the UK, and I think in the States as well. I think yeah, this is where it's difficult because they started off as a bit of a punk new wave band, and suddenly this big rock sound came in. I think the addition of Mel Gaynor on drums helped because he suddenly beefed up that drum sound. That makes it more powerful. I think that's what Fraser was looking for. It becomes a more powerful band. And it comes up to the period up to 1989, where they couldn't do any wrong. Dusty Springfield's Greatest Hits. Now, this is a collection from 1981. It's got all the hits. You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, I Only Want to Be With You, Going Back, Son of a Preacher Man. It's fair to say that Dusty Springfield was one of the greatest female vocalists Britain's ever produced. But I think the tragedy is that she was big in the 60s and sort of disappeared in the 70s and early 80s. Occasional comeback. I think we only started to appreciate it when she started recording with the Pet Shop Boys. Sadly, no longer with us, but just great voice, great songs. She's certainly worth checking out. The final album in this collection is Tencc's Greatest Hits. For me, one of the most underrated bands of the 70s, Tencc. When the original lineup together, they made some really great music. Commercial singles, but interesting, almost proggy in some way, album tracks. They had three #1 singles sung by 3 different vocalists, and not many bands that can say that. I don't even think the Beatles can say that. I may be wrong. Maybe Ringo did sing on a #1 hit. I think the BBC did a documentary on them last year, and I think if it's on YouTube, I might have seen it on YouTube actually. So it's worth checking out. It's such an interesting band. Maybe a bit too big for their boots on the studio, but I think it's a band that's worth checking out. So that ends this little video. So again, thank you for all those people who've watched, and don't forget to click the subscribe button. All comments will be gratefully received, and again, any tips will also be gratefully received. So enjoy the rest of your day. Keep listening to the good music. Keep smiling, and I'll see you next time.